The Black Lives Matter Toronto co-founder wrote an article. Yusra Kogali wrote the post on Facebook, I think. I tracked it down. I want you to hear this. Throughout this, the term human is used, humanness. It's spelled Humxness because you don't want to put man in it. Anyways, whiteness is not humanness. In fact, white skin is subhuman. All phenotypes exist within the black family, and white people are a genetic defect of blackness. White people have a higher concentration of enzyme inhibitors that suppress melanin production. They are genetically deficient because melanin is present at the inception of life. Melanin is directly linked to fertility and the human reproductive system. Melanin is directly linked to strong bones. Melanin is directly linked to the strength of the nervous system. Melanin is directly linked to the strength of senses such as vision and hearing. Melanin is directly linked to the strength of neurosystems affecting capacities like intelligence, memory, and creativity. Melanin enables black skin to capture light and hold it in its memory mode, which reveals that blackness converts light into knowledge. Melanin directly communicates with cosmic energy. This is why the indigeneity of all humanity, indigenous, comes from blackness. We are the first and strongest of all humans, and our genetics are the foundation of all humanity. Melanin is essential for the efficient performance of all the body's natural functions. Therefore, white people are recessive genetic defects. This is factual. White people need white supremacy as a mechanism to protect their survival as a people because all they can do is produce themselves. Black people simply, through their dominant genes, can literally wipe out the white race if we had the power to. It is why white supremacy as an imperial system thrives. It tries to control, suppresses, and destroy our existence in blackness because we are a threat to the genetic annihilation of white people. Do you ever wonder how black people, after centuries of colonial violence, genocide, and destruction, no matter what systems created to make us extinct, how we keep coming back? It is because we are superhumans. Ever heard anything like that before? I have. From the white supremacists of the 19th century. That is true racism. That is black racism. That is black supremacy. That's black supremacy. That is the old style racism. The vile, must be condemned by everyone kind of racism being promoted by a black woman. And of course, given that one of the top selling books in our country right now is D'Angelo's White Fragility is the kind of book that causes anyone who has ever studied logic to want to gouge their eyes out with rusty nails. It's that bad. This woman could not survive cross-examination and meaningful debate for 14 seconds before she would be contradicting herself. It's one of there are entire corporations forcing their people to read this book right now. She will tell you that we just read, which is clearly black racism, is not racism at all. It can't be by definition. By definition. This is what happens when you tell a people group for enough generations, you can't be racists. You are immune to racism. You tell people long enough, and you will produce the biggest explosion of it you've ever seen. Did you hear that? Now, the reality is most of that stuff was absurd on any scientific level whatsoever. But today, you can't say that. Look what happens when someone within this narrative, if you push back and say, the facts say, that's a demonstration you're a racist. If you're silent, that's demonstration you're a racist. If you walk away, it's demonstration you're a racist. It is an irrational, incomprehensible, it is an embarrassment to any adult human being to think in the way that is now being thought in many corporate boardrooms in the West. That's just the way it is. the reality is, even from a naturalistic perspective, even if you are a naturalist, even if you are a Darwinian, the amount of melanin, we all have melanin. We all have melanin. When I was 13, 14 years old, I had a huge amount of melanin because this was before we understood how bad it was to be exposed to the sun all the time. And a friend of mine went out in July for a couple weeks in a row and played tennis between noon and 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Phoenix. I didn't have an ounce of fat left on my body, and I was dark, man, as you could possibly be. I've got melanin, and your body produces it and utilizes it in response to what? Solar radiation, exposure to the sun. Now, if you live in Norway, you don't need it. And from a Darwinian perspective, it would be a waste of energy, a waste of bodily energy or genetic energy to produce more of it. You don't need it. There's insufficient solar radiation for it to be an evolutionary, I'm speaking, you might want to talk evolution here, from an evolutionary perspective, it would not have a benefit to you. So it'd be a waste. And then all this stuff about affecting capacities like intelligence, memory, and creativity. Man, that's what the Nazis were saying. Okay, that's Nazi stuff. And then it's memory mode, which reveals that blackness converts light into knowledge. Oh, okay. Melanin directly communicates with cosmic energy. Well, actually, melanin's purpose is to block out harmful ultraviolet rays, actually, that can cause, well, skin cancer and everything else. But that's not what this is talking about. This is talking about intelligence and cosmic energy, and you've got some woo-woo stuff going on here. So this is all goofy silliness. But I can guarantee you, in the climate we have today, there are way too many people who think it's true. And this is black supremacy. This is black racism in its fullest expression. And yet we live in a day where, no, can't be. That's not what it is. That's just someone, expressing the incoherence, inconsistency, insanity is absolutely right on the surface. But this is your co-founder of Black Lives Matter in Canada, in Toronto. Yusra Kigali. It said K period Ali, but they gave the full name Kogali, Khogali, in the article. Really deceived and a racist to the core. In the sense of reprehensible racism, in the sense of if a white were a racist like this, they'd want to join the KKK type thing. Or like what you see in China against blacks, same type of racism. The reprehensible sinful type, not the newfangled, you're racist because you're a certain color type. That's something very, very different.